Hello everyone, Bashar here. We have been not uploading videos for some time. That's because there were no important changes. So there are some important changes coming now. If you have looked in the blessing tree, guys, we used to have four groups: light, dark, war, and chaos, and there was a locked one here, right? So this locked one is arriving with the next big patch. I think we are on 850 now, on patch 860. This tree will arrive. It's called Harmony. It has to do with nature, and it has two rare, two epic, and two legendary blessings in it, like all of the other trees. And as you know, a champion cannot have a blessing of greater rarity than themselves, which means rare champions are limited to rare blessings only. Epic champions are limited to rare or epic blessings, and legendary and mythical champions are not limited by anything when they are choosing the blessing they have. So with a relatively recent patch, all blessings have been rendered equal in terms of the stats they provide. You only select the blessing for the blessing, right? They all provide the same. So mythical champions get more stat bonuses out of blessings compared to legendaries. Legendaries get more compared to epics, and epics get more compared to the rares. And the one-star blessing provides the basic form of the blessing and some HP. The 2-star doesn't do anything regarding the blessing. It gives you attack only. The 3 stars upgrades the blessing once and gives you defense. The 4th star gives you a little HP and crit damage. The 5th star gives you the 3rd form of the blessing and resistance and accuracy, and the last gives you the 4th and final form of the blessing and speed to your champion. So let's take a look at what is coming. So this is the first one, called Nourish. Let's zoom in. So this is a rare blessing. What it does is it increases the efficiency of the continuous heals placed by the champion who is the owner of the blessing, and also restores destroyed HP by the continuous heals, by the healing provided by the continuous heals. So what it does is, let's say for 6-star approximately, continuous heals are for 15%, the bigger form. There is also 7.5%, but that's very rare. So let's go over the 15% one. The 15% one's healing goes up to almost 20% on 6 stars, and it restores your destroyed HP by 6% of the champion's max HP every time they take a turn, right? So if you have a 2-turn continuous heal on your champion, every time you take a turn, you get healed by 20%, and your destroyed max HP gets restored by 6% every time you play. So this can be useful for champions that place a lot of continuous heals. I think maybe in Sand Devil and Hydra, but yeah, more in Sand Devil than in Hydra, because the HP destruction that is done by the Provoked can be managed on its own, because when you kill that head, your destroyed HP gets restored. So you can manage the fight by having approximately 10% of your HP destroyed. But I'm not saying it's not meaningful. It is, let's say, okay. Next up we have Nature's Bounty. So it's interesting. This is especially for synchronous, I think. So in some rooms that you have to bring rares and epics only, right? And some epics and most rares do the weaker version of the debuffs. So this blessing is meant to help with that, and it upgrades the debuff into the greater version with some chance. So let's say you have AoE 30% decrease debuff, decrease defense debuff. It gets upgraded into the bigger version. It gets converted into the 60% decrease defense according to what blessing you have. It goes 15%, 30%, 45%, and 60%. I would say, it could use a little buff maybe. The 3-star and the 1-star look good. The 5-star could have been like 50 or 60%, I would say. And the 6-star could have been 90% to 100%. I mean, 6-star blessings are not very, very easy to come by. So I think 90% or higher would be nicer. But it's not too bad, I guess. As I said, guys, you have to bring a champion to, let's say Synthrenos. And the champion is placing the weaker version of the debuff, then it could be a nice idea to do that. And third blessing in question is the only really good one, and it's end game, I would say. So right now, guys, we don't have a very good blessing for damages in Hydra, except for Crushing Grand, and Crushing Grand is only useful on 6 stars. So guys, a lot of people miss this. I do a lot of takeovers, and I have seen a lot of people have Crushing Grand on champions, anything ranging to 1 to 5 stars, right? That's a mistake. There is only one champion that can use 1 to 5 star Crushing Grand, that is Seer, right? No other champion is going to benefit from having 1 to 5 stars Crushing Grand, because for PvP it just provides too little, and for PvE, right, a lot of people are missing this. So Crushing Grand only works for a certain number of hits, guys. On 1 star and on 3 stars, it only works for the first hit in a wave, right? So for example, you enter Synthrenos, you decrease defense of enemies, you nuke with your Crushing Grand guy, and that's it. That guy is not going to get any more benefit from Crushing Grand until that wave is clear, right? It doesn't do anything else, right? The first hit. On 5 stars, it goes up to 2 hits, right? So you nuke once, then you nuke again, and it's done, right? It doesn't do anything else. On 6 stars, it goes up to ignoring every single hit, right? That is, the blessings go much stronger from 5 stars to 6 stars, and Crushing Grand is the one that gets the strongest, right? Because at 1 to 5 stars, basically it's crap for anyone but Seer. So why does it work for Seer? Because, guys, Seer is a literal one-hit wonder, right? You have to one-shot the enemies, and if you are not one-shotting the enemies, you are going to die most likely. So she is thankful for every single defense ignore that she can get out of Crushing Grand, and she doesn't really need a second hit because she's just going to hit once. And that's why she's okay, and no one else is okay, right? I have seen a lot of people have Crushing Grand on a lot of champions they have. It's wrong, right? It's a mistake. So anyway, if we go back into the subject, so guys, there is right now not too many options for a damaging champion in Hydra for a blessing, right? Phantom Touch is an option, not too great, and it only works for attack-based champions because the bonus damage that you receive is based on your attack. There is Heaven Cast, which was recently changed, that increases your damage for every buff on you, but of course the numbers are not very great, so you don't really get too much damage out of it, because in Hydra the buffs expire and whatnot. Unless you have a group of champions that extend the durations, they will wear off, right? You will not always have like 10 buffs on you. So this one is going to fill that role very nicely. So what this one does is, for every debuff that you successfully place, your damage goes up, right? And it doesn't say active debuff, so you place the debuff once and you get a permanent damage up. And of course, it has a cap, right? Or it would be, insane in Hydra. So at 1 star, your damage goes up by 2% for every debuff that you place and gets capped at 6%, right? So you place 3 debuffs and you're done, right? You have 6% permanent damage up. At 3 star, it goes up to 8%. The 2% remains the same. At 5 stars, it goes up to 3% per debuff, and the damage cap becomes 15%, which is lovely. And at 6 stars, it goes up to 5% for every debuff that you place, and 30% damage up. While this is great, sadly, it's not able to measure up to Crushing Grand in Hydra battles because, so guys, defense ignore is a stat that gets more and more efficient when you have more of it. And, you have the defense ignore from Live Arena, the defense ignore from Savage Lethal, the defense ignore from Helm Smasher Blessing, right? For damages, you go for that kind of stuff, right? And that means Crushing Grand is going to add insane damage for you, and this guy won't be able to measure up to it. And because the debuffs from the gear sets are not included, guys, you cannot use this blessing on champions that do not debuff. So, for example, Inquisitor Shamael won't be able to use it. And also, of course, champions that debuff, but they are meant for support, also I don't think are going to get out of use out of it. So, for example, guys, Nekmotar, Ugo, those champions I would say are better off with Cruelty, because they do not have a 100% crit rate. But for every champion that is meant for damage and debuffs, this is the blessing to go up until 5 stars. For example, guys, Eostrid, Michinaki, even Provokers can make use of this, right? Like Razur, Vixwell. The only thing that you have to pay attention to is that the Provoked is part of the origin rotation, right? Because if you don't have a Provoked at the beginning of the rotation, the blessing might take a very long time to stack because you could just fail to get the Provoked around, right? And this is true for champions that only provoke, right? For example, Krisk is fine, right? Because he does decrease speed, he does decrease attack, decrease defense, he's gonna stack his immediately, right? But don't use this on champions that are not meant for damage, right? As I said, damaging and debuffing champions. Every single HP burner works. Sun Wukong obviously works. Who else? Husk, yeah, maybe. For Husk, it's not that good because those champions get capped really quick. Yeah, as I said, anyone that debuffs and is meant for damage in Hydra is good for this. So this is an endgame blessing, guys. It is going to replace a lot of champions blessings. So as I said, I am going to change the blessing of every HP burner, Michinaki, Mother Cybele. Every damaging debuffing champion will get changed into this. You can use your debuffing support champions in Cruelty and change everyone into this, except for 6-star blessings. If you have a 6-star blessing, it will be Crushing Grand. Let's get to the next one. So the next ones are a little bit laughable. Okay, this is the funniest blessing I have seen. It's an extremely bad design. I don't like it one bit. So guys, it allows you to place your debuffs on weak hits against enemies under Poison Cloud buffs. So Poison Cloud only exists in a Hydra fight, right? And it only gets active if you miss out on placing block buffs to Hydra heads, which is something of like a part of the team, right? You always try to bring block buffs champion to prevent the Poison Cloud from going up, right? So what this does is if the poison cloud forces to weaken, you will still be able to place your buff. So the thing is, you don't design a blessing for a single fight in the entire game, and then you don't also give it more conditions, right? I think this is, very bad. So they should have said, place debuffs on weekends in Hydra battles, right? This feels, very, very weird. Maybe they will be adding some more fights in which the poison cloud buff goes up. And also, guys, I don't like the percentages either. It's still very weak. So the fight has to be on in Hydra, and you have to miss out on the block buffs, and the guy has to have a poison cloud on him. Then you will be able to place your buffs, debuffs, right? Sometimes. So what this is good for is, so the thing is, guys, let's say you miss the poison cloud, and this guy is able to debuff, right? But other guys still will not be able to. So what this is supposed to be used on is your HP burner and provoker, right? Why? Because let's say you miss the block buffs, the guy has his provoke, the guy has his poison cloud up, and you want to provoke him, so that works. Or if you are an HP burner, you place your HP burn, and the HP burn cancels the effect of the poison cloud. So that's what you're supposed to do, but it is, very laughable. And the percentages are also laughable as well. 10%, 20%, 40%, 60%. I would say 20, 40, I don't know, 60 and 100 or 90 or something. I mean, if it's this specific, it better be working, when I meet the 50 million conditions. I have to be in a Hydra battle. I have to miss out on block buffs. The poison cloud has to go up, blah, 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 right? I think this is the worst blessing in the game, and there are some really bad ones. This is, yeah, as I said, a little bit bad. So now let's take a look at the legendary blessings. Okay, another Hydra specific for the Fear. At least this time around, it's not that specific, right? It can work in situations where we have fear and true fear. So what it does is, guys, you get turn meter fill when you lose turn due to a fear or a true fear debuff. And the difference between fear and true fear is, guys, so when I first saw the debuffs, I thought, the true fear has a higher percentage. It doesn't. They both have a 50% to make your champion lose their turn. What true fear does extra is, when you are true feared and you try to use a skill and you fail, and the skill will still go into cooldown as if it was used, right? So this blessing combats that. You get some turn meter when you lose your turn due to fear or true fear. And if you lose your cooldown because of true fear, it refreshes that cooldown. So let's go about the magnitude of the thing. On 1 stars, you recover the cooldown by a turn and 10% turn meter back. At 3 stars, again, 1 turn of cooldown refresh and 15% turn meter. I would say that is very laughable. The upgrade is extremely little. At 5 stars, you get 25% turn meter and the cooldown is reduced by 2 turns. And at 6 stars, you immediately reset the cooldown that was wasted and get 50% turn meter back. I would say this is still, very laughable. First of all, the fear head is not an extremely hard head to manage, right? There are a lot of champions that can be used to counter it. Duchess is there. Siphi combats it at some level. Tuhanarak helps, right? I'm not even going into Shamal, and that's only an epic. A lot of people have Shamal to combat that head. So we didn't need a specific blessing to combat that head, right? And it also will work in PvP, but I don't know who will waste their precious blessing on this. You could have Poly, you could have Phantom Touch, you could have Temporal Chains, you could have Life Harvest, you could have a lot of things, right? I don't really foresee too many situations in PvP that I will get feared. I just don't see a use for this one. And this is a legendary blessing, guys. So it's only meant for legendaries. Yeah. Maybe if the turn meter fill was about 100% on 6 stars. So I lose my turn thanks to the fear, and I almost immediately play. I play again almost immediately. Yeah. The magnitude is just falling short. And the final blessing is again extremely specific. Sorry for the bad visual handling. Okay, so the final blessing increases our damage dealt to Stone Skin HP. So guys, what does this mean? As you know, if you have 4 or 6 pieces of Stone Skin gear equipped on your champion, you get a Stone Skin shield on your character that receives like 80 or 85% less damage. So you have a shield on you, right? Not literal shield, but the Stone Skin HP on you. That has the same HP as your character but receives much less damage. That's why we are not able to kill champions that are in Stone Skin, right? So guys, I'm sure most of you have gone through this. So you can only sometimes kill the extremely squishy champions in Stone Skin, right? For example, Gaius, Baron, Georgid, right? Those kind of guys are very squishy, and if you have a good nuker, sometimes and very rarely you can break through the Stone Skin. I'm not talking about ignoring it. I'm talking about hitting it and breaking it. Right? So while this blessing has potential in my eyes, there is one problem. It's not gonna do too much, because thing is, guys, if the champion is tanky, you are not going to inflict a lot of damage on their Stone Skin. So guys, imagine you are hitting a Duchesses or UDKs or a Sifis, whatever Stone Skin, right? A tanky champion. The HP bar moves by so little, like 10-15% maybe, right? With your hardest nukers. Because the champions are very tough, and the additional damage reduction provided by the Stone Skin makes the champions insanely tanky. So you can't break it. And even if you have a 6-star blessing that doubles your damage against that Stone Skin, you're not going to break it. So this one has potential. The number has to be increased though. So I would say at least double its potency, right? So 40%, 80%, 120%, and 200%. So triple damage on Stone Skin HP. Maybe then you'll be able to break it. And you wouldn't be able to break, I think, still the UDK and the really tanky guys, but some mid-level guys could be broken. And it's a very specific blessing again. It's for PvP situations only. So I think, and they have been trying to correct Stone Skin, because Stone Skin is extremely toxic in PvP, right? They have brought the HP burn going through the Stone Skin, and also increasing HP burns damage to Stone Skin HP. They are trying to combat it because all 4 champions in Stone Skin in 2 turn duration makes your life go really awful. So I think this is a nice move, but the potency of the blessing is just not enough. I mean, 400%, maybe I'm daydreaming. I don't think they will ever do that, but 200% should at least be done. And I think it's going to be a little bit better by about 300%. So guys, what I'm thinking about this blessing is it should be allowing you to break the Stone Skin of the tankier champions, right? And I see myself hitting that Stone Skin, and I would need to do not double, but maybe quadruple damage to break that, right? So I don't think they will be doing 300%, but maybe in the future they will buff this to a 200% on 6 stars, and then it could be worth something. But guys, Polymorph is so good, right? It's going to be a hard thing, right? So it's going to be hard. I mean, I don't think I will pick this over Polymorph if I have a 6-star blessing. Is what I meant. And guys, I think there is something good coming out of this, because we have a new blessing tree, and maybe they will rebalance some of the older ones. I think we are going to get a free respec on every single champion we have. and that would be a good time to change your blessings into something that is more appropriate. I mean, you might have a few wrong blessings, and as you know, it's extremely expensive, and you can't really bring yourself to change that blessing, right? I mean, I have it. 300 gems is too much, and if you remain within the same tree, it's 200 gems. It's still a lot, but now I think is the time. When this patch arrives, I think we will get a free reselect. So yeah, this one is okay, but needs more potency. So this is it about the new blessings that are coming, guys. And leave comments and suggestions below and we can discuss, and I will see you on stream. Bye bye.